Welcome to Discover Fort Monroe. Right now I'm inside Oozlefinch with the owner, Russ.
Hopefully today we will give you a behind the scenes look of everything Oozlefinch and teach you everything that you have been dying to know about what we do here.
Now we've got the milling coming in to the masher.
Yep.
We've added the salt, and that's what makes it kind of smoother.
It's more of a water chemistry thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so at the end product, you're really going to have a softer mouthfeel with the beer. And so we have pretty hard water here in Hampton Roads, and so we'll add different types of salts to kind of counter that. And sometimes the hard water is good, like if we're making a West Coast IPA or something like that. That hard water is really good, and so we don't add as much, chloride as we would to like this type of beer or to a hazy IPA or something like that. Okay. Every beer that we make has a different amount of different types of salt that we'll put in there.
Okay. And what are you about to open now?
This is just it's a bag of rolled white wheat that we have, and I'm going to put it in, instead of putting it in there and crushing it all over the place. If you look at it, it kind of has a consistency of like oatmeal. We more just want to be able to mix it really well into the grain bed, because if that whole bag comes through at one time, it's basically going to create a massive sticky ball in there, and it will, again, give us a stuck mash. And a stuck mash means you won't figure out that you have a stuck mash until we've been here for about an hour and a half, and then it turns into like a 3-hour project of trying to get the water to filter through the grain bed. And so what we do now with these types of grains is we'll dump it in and slowly mix it as this is filling. And that way you have a good consistency and it's not all in one spot in there. Now at the same time while we're doing this, we're always checking our temp here to make sure it's where it needs to be. We're supposed to be going in at 164. We're at about 165 right now. So this is our cold water inlet, and our cold water, we just barely tap it, it'll open it, allow more flow. That should drop a little bit, and it'll keep it as consistent as we can. Now, I'm not as worried about it being 1 degree off, but we try and get everything as precise as we possibly can here. So one little variable different in each brew, it could potentially make a completely different beer than what you're trying to do. So,
what is Oozlefinch and why the name? We started this thing probably around 10 years ago. My wife and I did some research out here on Fort Monroe. We were dead set on making Fort Monroe the home of the brewery that we were building, but at the time we didn't know what to name it. While walking around the Casemate Museum, I came across the bar scene that was in there that had information about the Oozlefinch on it. We started researching Oozlefinch and what it was after that. Turned out to be more of like a secret society that was built here around 1905 on Fort Monroe. We thought that it was kind of a fun theme. The bird looked amazing, and we knew we could do a lot of fun things with it. We filed that paperwork and kind of adopted it as our mascot. Taking a piece of local history and reinvigorating it was really key to what we were trying to do here. So.
All of my folks that work here, myself, we've all built our own brewing calculators. So my calculator looks much different than Matt's. It looks much different than the other guys and girls that worked here before us, but everybody has their own. And something that I think is very important that one of our brewers established years ago here is everybody that steps on the brew deck has a calculator that they built from scratch, and they know how it works. They know how everything here works, but it accounts for that absorption of the grain. And so in here, as you're doing all these equations, beer is basically an equation. If it works here, it'll work here. We don't do a lot of test batches here because we've figured this out. And so we're kind of backwards. A lot of places will do test batch after test batch after test batch. Honestly, for us, we have the equations down. We understand it. And everybody that has brewed here for the last 7 years understands how this works.
What led me to open a brewery? My wife and I have been married, I think I know, for 15 years now. And when we first got married, she bought me a Mr. Brew kit, Mr. Beer kit or something like that. And so I made this makeshift beer at home on the stovetop, and immediately was infatuated with the idea that I could create my own alcohol. And so that started me down a road of really trying to brew the best beer that I possibly could at home. At the time, I was a police officer in Newport News. I was doing undercover narcotics for probably 6 years. Went through a scenario that kind of changed my life forever, and it was a situation that was scary and wasn't anything I thought I would ever experience. And so I made a decision that night that I did not want to go through that again, and that my wife and I wanted to focus on starting a family, and I needed to find something else to do for work. And then 3 days later, we were here on Fort Monroe, walking around, getting shown a bunch of properties here. And the fort has been very gracious and good to us over the years. So far, we've been able to lock in this property and this market to build something that I think just fits this whole place.
Something that surprised me about this brewing process is there's a lot more math involved than I would have thought. But what is something else that might surprise the audience about the brewing process?
It's probably 95% cleaning. So honestly, those are the things that nobody thinks about. Everybody wants to be a brewer, everybody wants to do this. They think, they think of the end product is basically what it is. And the end product is fun and cool, and but a lot of folks don't think about those two things, how much hard work it actually is. These guys bust their butt every single day, and it is very hard work, but a majority of it is cleaning. If you don't clean and you don't keep that, I talked earlier about keeping a closed system from this point on.
Right.
If you don't keep that closed system, you expose the product to like the open atmosphere, which has bacteria and wild yeast that could ruin your beer. And so every tank beforehand is caustic, every tank is sanied, every tank is rinsed and purged with CO2, so that way there's nothing in that tank that could hurt the product that's going in. And so for the 1 day of brewing that we do, you don't see any of the prep work.
What's the most rewarding thing about owning a brewery on Fort Monroe? Man, there's a bunch of reasons why I think it would be rewarding, but I would say is being able to exist on this historical base and try again to reinvigorate some of the history while really just feeding into that sense of community to the point to where it's making families, it's making changes that that hopefully will bring good things for years and years and years to come. So it's cool to be a part of people's lives, even though you aren't directly involved. It's cool to hear stories and see things. Like, we have met countless people that have started families and met here, or had their first date here, or we have staff members that met their spouses here and now have kids.
So on the beer deck, last we left off, everything was going into the boiler.
Correct.
From the boiler, it goes into the whirlpool machine.
Correct.
And so what does the whirlpool machine do? And kind of, if you could wrap up the last of the brewing process.
Sure. The whole concept behind it is it spits all of the hot wort into a kettle from the side port, and that port gets a whirlpool going, and it gets it going pretty quick. And so by the time we get all 15 barrels in there and it's spinning, start a 15-minute timer, over the 15 minutes it will slow down and basically almost come to a stop from that continual spinning motion. At that point, we drain from another side port, and what you'll see after it's all drained out and through this heat X, you'll see basically all the particulate that was in there is kind of shaped like a cone pyramid almost in the center of the whirlpool. From that whirlpool, it's still pretty hot, and so we want to cool that down as fast as we can. And to do that, we go through this heat X, and then from there it goes into the fermenter, and then we just sit back and let the magic happen from there.